The Seattle Seahawks offense has been historic, has been tough, has been phenomenal to watch.
Incredible.
Russell Wilson is playing like the best quarterback in the NFL. Some have him as the best quarterback in the NFL. But the one knock on them is their defense. Their defense has looked pretty bad these last couple of weeks. So do you think that the Seahawks offense is going to be able to make up for their bad defense in the playoffs?
I'm going to say this is tough because, like I said, their offense is like you said, it's on a historic pace. Russell Wilson's throwing 14 touchdowns, 1 pick, 925 yards, looking like the best quarterback in the National Football League. But I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is because just the secondary looks horrible. And you have Jamal Adams, who just got injured last week. I don't know the severity of his injury, but that's an important piece. He's the best player in that secondary. So, teams are putting up video game numbers on the Seattle Seahawks' defense. I know I saw a stat. The first 3 weeks, teams are almost nearly averaging 500 yards of total offense on the Seattle Seahawks. Like a Seattle secondary doesn't look good. Shaq Griffin, I know he had 11 tackles last game, but he got beat over the top a lot. And if that's going to be your number one corner going into the season, getting beat over the top, I can't see you winning anything. You're giving up the big plays. And credit to Russell Wilson and the offense. I mean, DK Metcalf stepped up. He looks like a better player this year. Tyler Lockett, he's a very solid, good receiver. You know what you're going to get from him. Chris Carson comes back next week. The offense is not the problem. The problem, like we've already pointed out, is the defense. If you're going to go into every game going into a shootout, it's a recipe for disaster. You know, at some point, all these championship teams, most of them, if you look back at the history of the Super Bowls, they all have at least somewhat solid defenses. So,
or they played elite. Like last year, the Chiefs weren't great defensively.
Yeah,
but during the playoffs, they were an elite defensive team.
Yeah, I mean, the only upside I see for Seattle's defense is their run defense. I know they're allowing maybe 66.7 yards per carry. So that's good. Getting pressure to the quarterback, they don't have very many sacks. And this goes back to Jamal Adams. We know how good he is from the Jets. He's another guy who's like a hybrid. He can go in, he can get sacks. He led the Jets in sacks last year. So you're losing a guy who's valuable in their secondary and then a guy that's valuable inside the box to help him stop the run and get sacks. So, no, they can't win with their defense playing like this, giving up 500 yards of total offense. Do I think they're gonna be this bad all season? No, but I definitely won't pick them going to the Super Bowl if their defense is gonna be bottom 25 in the league defensively.
Yeah. So the stats are they're second ranked in offense, and I'd like to know who's first because I think the Packers are first.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are second, and they're 22nd ranked on defense. So just to look at their offensive stats, Wilson is the first quarterback to throw for 4 touchdowns in his first 3 games in NFL history, passing Patrick Mahomes. So that's already phenomenal there. But the bad is the Seahawks have allowed the most pass yards through the first 3 games of the NFL history with 1,292. That's more than the league leader in passing yards in Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
So they have allowed more passing yards in the first 3 games than Dak Prescott has thrown. And you talked about the secondary, but I don't feel like their secondary is bad.
They're also very injury riddled in the secondary as well. But go on.
I don't feel like the Seahawks secondary is bad. Quinton Dunbar was one of the top-rated cornerbacks last year, according to PFF. We know Jamal Adams is one of the best safeties, if not the best safety in the NFL. Griffin's pretty good. Trey Flowers is pretty good. Quadre Diggs is pretty good. I think their problem is the pass rush. You were talking about Adams stopping the run and having like 3.5 sacks so far. Jamal Adams right now is the Seattle Seahawks' best pass rusher. If a defensive back, if a safety is your best pass rusher, something is going on. Something terribly wrong is going on. When you look at their pass rush, you got guys like L.J. Collier. I might mispronounce these names because I don't know these guys at all. So Jerron Reed, I know who he is. Benson Mayowa and Poona Ford. These are their starters. These are their front 4. I don't even know who these guys are. No disrespect to them, but they are just not names. They aren't a Jadeveon Clowney, which the Seahawks let go.
At all.
If the Seahawks had a Jadeveon Clowney on this team right now, this team would be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Because you look at the Seahawks, their secondary, they have names that you recognize at least. And their linebackers, KJ Wright, has been a solid pro. He's been a solid player for the Seahawks. And Bobby Wagner, the best middle linebacker in the NFL.
Yep.
So it's not their linebackers, it's not their secondary, it's their front four. If you can't generate a pass rush, the quarterback has all day to throw. And no matter how good your cornerbacks are, if these receivers have 10 seconds to get open, they're going to get open. Yeah. Like, these are NFL receivers at the end of the day. I think even talking about the Jets, I think Braxton Berrios would get open with 10 seconds. I think our worst receivers would get, like, Lawrence Cager would get open with 10 seconds.
Braxton Berrios.
So I think they can win a game or two in the playoffs, but I don't think there's no way. I highly doubt that they win a Super Bowl if they keep allowing this type of production on defense, if they keep allowing these offenses to just score all over them. And the 2 words or the 3 words in Seattle that are popular right now in the NFL is let Russ cook.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks have changed their offense to a more pass-heavy offense, which I think was great because in this analytic-driven stat called, like, adjusted points added, it's something like that. The Seahawks were, like, second behind the Chiefs. And that means that basically if they were to pass the ball, then they would have, like, the same offensive production as the Chiefs. And you're seeing it now. But I think they have to let Russ cook. You can't run the ball anymore because if you get down a couple of possessions, you can't count on your defense to stop anybody. I mean, we even seen in the Patriots game, it came down to the final play. And that the Patriots could have easily scored on that play, and the Seahawks could have been 2-1.
I thought that was a bad play called by the Pats.
I thought it was too. I think they should have went at least for a fake and try to trick the Seahawks because it happened earlier in that game.
Yep.
So I don't know if they can win a Super Bowl if their defense is playing like this. But like you said, I don't think that their defense plays like this. I think Pete Carroll, he is a defensive coach. So I think that even the guys that I mentioned in the front four, I think they get better at least somewhat.
Yeah.
You know, the Seahawks fans are hoping they get better. Or maybe there's somebody available for trade or in free agency that gets released that maybe they can pick up. But they at least need somebody that can rush the passer and not have to rely on blitzes or Jamal Adams just running wild to get a sack.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see them without Jamal Adams, given for how many games he misses. I mean, he's obviously, we know, we're Jets fans. We've seen him. He's such an integral part to their defense. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Hopefully they don't keep getting lit up like this. Like I see, these are video game numbers being thrown. I mean, I can't even get 500 yards of total offense on Madden. So the fact that this is being done like on a real life football team is alarming. So we'll see where they go from here.
You know, to the Seahawks fans watching this, we're Jets fans, and Jamal Adams being injured is kind of a first. Yeah. Because on the Jets, he was the most reliable player.
Never got hurt.
And I think Seahawks fans should be, even when he's hurt, Seahawks fans should feel lucky. Yeah. Because what the Seahawks have is what the Jets are missing. Yeah. Even when Adams was hurt, he's cheering his team on the sideline. He's a leader. He's energetic. The Jets don't have that now. At all. The Jets have nobody. So that was such a huge loss to the Jets and such a big gain for the Seahawks. Yeah. And I think the sky's the limit if they can get their act together on defense. Definitely. The sky's the limit for the Seahawks.
Definitely.